When performing a dwelling inspection, the primary responsibility is to ensure that the dwelling meets the minimum code requirements. If after an initial failure and subsequent repair, a new issue is discovered, there are several approaches an inspector can take. The first option is to refail the job. The rationale behind this is that the inspector's obligation is to ensure the dwelling is safe and habitable, regardless of whether the issue was missed during the initial inspection. The second option involves issuing an advisory requesting the contractor to fix the problem. This approach is less stringent and suitable for minor issues that do not pose an immediate hazard. However, it relies on the contractor's follow-through, which may not always be guaranteed. A third option involves a graduated failure approach. Some jurisdictions may employ this method, where a minor issue results in a partial failure, while a more serious issue leads to a full failure. This approach acknowledges the contractor's efforts in correcting the initial failure while still addressing the new issue. A fourth option involves a conditional pass. This is similar to an advisory but more formal. The inspector issues a conditional pass contingent on the contractor correcting the new issue within a specified time frame. This provides the contractor with an opportunity to address the issue while allowing the inspection to progress. In general, refailing the job is often the most appropriate option because it prioritizes the safety and well-being of the occupants. However, a graduated failure or conditional pass may be considered if the new issue is minor and the contractor has demonstrated a willingness to comply. Inspectors should use their judgment and discretion, drawing from their knowledge of the code and field experience. Furthermore, the contractor's reputation and past performance should be taken into account. If the contractor has a history of responsiveness and prompt issue resolution, an advisory may suffice. The severity of the new issue is also a critical factor. Minor issues may warrant an advisory, whereas more serious issues should result in a failure. When evaluating the severity, several factors should be considered. These include the potential for electrical shock, fire hazard, structural integrity, plumbing leaks, and gas leaks. A seemingly minor electrical issue, such as an improperly grounded outlet, can pose a significant shock hazard. Similarly, a small plumbing leak can lead to water damage and mold growth over time. Determining whether to refail a job involves a careful balance of several factors. There is the immediate safety of the occupants, compliance with code requirements, the contractor's history, and the nature of the newly discovered issue. Inspectors must be well versed in local and national codes such as those established by the National Electrical Code, or NEC. This knowledge is crucial for accurately identifying and assessing potential hazards. For instance, NEC Table 310.16 outlines the allowable ampacities of insulated conductors based on their temperature rating and insulation conditions. An inspector should be able to identify situations where conductors are overloaded, potentially leading to overheating and fire hazards. Similarly, ground fault circuit interrupters, or GFCIs, are required in areas where electrical outlets are near water sources such as bathrooms and kitchens. These devices quickly interrupt the circuit if a ground fault is detected, preventing electrical shocks. Inspectors must verify the proper installation and operation of GFCIs. Smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors are essential life safety devices. Inspectors need to ensure that they are installed in the correct locations and are functioning correctly. This includes verifying the presence of smoke detectors in each bedroom, outside of sleeping areas, and on every level of the dwelling. Carbon monoxide detectors should be installed near sleeping areas. Proper grounding and bonding are critical for electrical safety. Inspectors should check that the electrical system is properly grounded to provide a path for fault current to flow back to the source, tripping the circuit breaker or fuse and preventing electrical shock. Bonding ensures that all metal parts of the electrical system are at the same potential, reducing the risk of shock. Plumbing inspections involve checking for leaks, proper drainage, and adequate water pressure. Inspectors should also verify the proper installation of backflow preventers to prevent contamination of the water supply. Gas leaks can pose a significant explosion hazard. Inspectors should be able to detect gas leaks and verify the proper installation of gas appliances and venting systems. Structural inspections involve checking for signs of damage or deterioration, such as cracks in the foundation, sagging floors, or roof leaks. Inspectors should also ensure that the building is structurally sound and capable of withstanding expected loads. Consider a scenario where an inspector initially fails a dwelling roof in inspection due to missing smoke detectors in the bedrooms. The contractor installs the smoke detectors and calls for a re-inspection. During the re-inspection, the inspector notices that the electrical panel is not properly grounded. In this case, the inspector would likely refail the job, as the lack of proper grounding poses a significant electrical hazard. Alternatively, suppose an inspector fails a roof-in inspection due to a minor plumbing leak under a sink. The contractor repairs the leak and calls for a re-inspection. During the re-inspection, the inspector notices that one of the electrical outlets in the kitchen is not GFCI protected. If the contractor has a good track record and the inspector believes the issue will be addressed promptly, an advisory might be issued, allowing the contractor to correct the issue without a full refailure. Electrical systems operate on specific voltage levels. Common residential voltages include 120 volts and 240 volts. Commercial and industrial buildings may use 208 volts, 277 volts, or 480 volts. Inspectors must be familiar with these voltage levels and ensure that electrical equipment is properly rated for the voltage being supplied. Electrical circuits are protected by circuit breakers or fuses, which are designed to interrupt the flow of current if it exceeds a certain level. The size of the circuit breaker or fuse should be appropriate for the size of the wire and the load being served. For example, a 14 American wire gauge copper wire is typically protected by a 15 amp circuit breaker, while a 12 American wire gauge copper wire is typically protected by a 20 amp circuit breaker. The NEC provides guidance on the proper sizing of circuit breakers and fuses. Electrical outlets, also known as receptacles, must be properly wired to ensure safety. The hot wire, typically black, carries the current from the source to the load. The neutral wire, typically white, returns the current to the source. The ground wire, typically green or black copper, provides a path for fault current to flow back to the source, tripping the circuit breaker or fuse and preventing electrical shock. Inspectors should verify that electrical outlets are properly wired and grounded. Lighting fixtures must be properly installed and supported. The wiring to the lighting fixture must be properly connected and protected. The lighting fixture must be securely mounted to the ceiling or wall. Inspectors should verify that lighting fixtures are properly installed and supported. Appliances, such as refrigerators, ovens, and washing machines, must be properly connected to the electrical system. These appliances typically require a dedicated circuit. The wiring to the appliance must be properly sized and protected. The appliance must be properly grounded. Inspectors should verify that appliances are properly connected to the electrical system. Plumbing systems involve the supply of potable water and the removal of wastewater. The water supply system must be properly sized to provide adequate water pressure to all fixtures. The piping must be properly supported and protected. The wastewater system must be properly sloped to allow for gravity drainage. The piping must be properly vented to prevent siphoning of traps. Inspectors should verify that plumbing systems are properly installed and functioning. Water heaters must be properly installed and vented. The water heater must be equipped with a temperature and pressure relief valve. The venting system must be properly sized and installed to prevent the buildup of carbon monoxide. Inspectors should verify that water heaters are properly installed and vented. Toilets, sinks, and showers must be properly installed and connected to the plumbing system. These fixtures must be properly sealed to prevent leaks. The drains must be properly trapped to prevent sewer gases from entering the building. Inspectors should verify that toilets, sinks, and showers are properly installed and connected to the plumbing system. Gas piping systems must be properly installed and tested for leaks. The piping must be properly supported and protected. The connections must be properly made and sealed. Inspectors should verify that gas piping systems are properly installed and tested for leaks. Gas appliances, such as furnaces, water heaters, and stoves, must be properly installed and vented. The venting system must be properly sized and installed to prevent the buildup of carbon monoxide. Inspectors should verify that gas appliances are properly installed and vented. Structural components, such as foundations, walls, floors, and roofs, must be structurally sound and capable of withstanding expected loads. The foundation must be properly designed and constructed to support the building. The walls must be properly framed and sheeted. The floors must be properly supported and constructed. The roof must be properly framed and covered. Inspectors should verify that structural components are structurally sound and capable of withstanding expected loads. Insulation is used to reduce heat transfer through the building envelope. Proper insulation can reduce energy consumption and improve comfort. Inspectors should verify that insulation is properly installed and in the correct locations. Ventilation is used to remove moisture and pollutants from the building. Proper ventilation can improve indoor air quality and prevent mold growth. Inspectors should verify that ventilation systems are properly installed and functioning. Windows and doors must be properly installed and sealed to prevent air and water leakage. Proper installation and sealing can reduce energy consumption and improve comfort. Inspectors should verify that windows and doors are properly installed and sealed. Fire-resistant construction is used to protect buildings from fire. Fire-resistant materials and construction methods can slow the spread of fire and provide occupants with more time to escape. Inspectors should verify that fire-resistant construction is properly installed. Egress, or the means of exiting a building, must be safe and accessible. There must be at least 2 means of egress from every dwelling unit. Egress paths must be clear and unobstructed. Inspectors should verify that egress paths are safe and accessible. Inspectors must stay up to date on the latest codes and regulations. Codes and regulations are constantly evolving to reflect new technologies and best practices. Inspectors should participate in continuing education and training to stay informed. Effective communication is essential for inspectors. Inspectors must be able to clearly and concisely explain code requirements to contractors and homeowners. They must also be able to document their findings accurately and thoroughly. Professionalism is essential for inspectors. Inspectors should conduct themselves in a professional manner at all times. They should be respectful of contractors and homeowners. They should be fair and impartial in their inspections. Ethical conduct is essential for inspectors. Inspectors should avoid conflicts of interest. They should not accept bribes or gifts. They should always act in the best interest of the public. The role of a building inspector is crucial in ensuring the safety and well-being of building occupants. By diligently enforcing codes and regulations, inspectors help to create safer and more sustainable buildings. When faced with a new issue during a re-inspection, the inspector must carefully consider all the factors involved and make a decision that is in the best interest of the public safety.